Ya sasa del fikia del fez. Eferisto yeton endia feransho. Sasa capo olus. Thank you for your interest. I love you all. I need to have a judgment-free, open discussion about some personal perceptions I have regarding human spirituality in 2022. In this conversation, we know we have people that have spiritual understandings and people that don't. We have people with organized religions and people with individual spiritualities. There's people in the middle. We're accepting everybody because in this conversation, we're discussing human spirituality generally and not any real specific details of any real specific belief systems. So if this video is going to be of most use to you, you have to be able to remain mature in your mind and open to the concept of human spirituality in general. Even if you don't have a spiritual understanding, I think you could find a lot of healing and guidance from this video, respectfully. So, thank you for taking this journey with me. It's in my understanding that as a human being, we all have the gift of spirituality, and the proof of that is in our conscious choice. Spirituality is directly connected to conscious choice, like hormones are connected to desires. So if you have conscious choice, which if you're a human, you know you do, even if you are yet to accept a spiritual understanding, you have to accept that you have conscious choice and therefore there is spirituality in you. Respectfully, I do know a lot of people that don't have a spiritual understanding because they were generally open to it and they heard some people's perspectives and they never really heard anything that really resonated with their spirituality. And when that happened, they just ditched it. And then I understand that none of those things resonate with you and you didn't feel the need to put any more time into it. And I'm not attacking you. You are allowed to live that way. Live that way if you want. I'm not judging you. I would like to say something else about this, though. Animals don't have conscious choice. Therefore, there's no need for spirituality. Without conscious choice, well, you can't make major mistakes that you know of because you don't know right and wrong options. If you don't understand that there's always a positive and always a negative option, and you have to try to pick the positive one, knowing you're going to have to pick the negative one at times, but you still have to understand there's a positive and a negative option, and you can weigh up which way you want to go. That's conscious choice. That's your spirituality. Animals don't really have that. They just live the perfect life for them no matter what. But humans have conscious choice, so we make those big mistakes and we can have a major impact on all the life on the planet, more so than any of the other animals, because of the conscious choice, which is directly linked to our spirituality. So I hope you can remain open to accepting your own spirituality, regardless what anybody else thinks. It's there to serve you. I want you to think about it much like your sexuality. Now, with sexuality, there's a lot more limits in options just due to the physical detail of it. But when it comes to spiritual beliefs, well, we're wide open. There's not nearly the limitations. So if you are somebody that doesn't have a spiritual understanding because you haven't really heard anything that really resonated with you and you didn't really sink any more time into it, I hope the things I just said to you will encourage you to sink some time into discovering your own spirituality. And like I said, with the sexuality, you have to discover your sexuality to serve you. It's yours. The same with your spiritual understanding. And likewise, if you resonate with other people and you share it with them, well, that can be very rewarding. But another option you could choose is, with both, you can discover your own spirituality and you can discover your own sexuality and you can connect with people that you know accept it. And other than that, you can just keep it to yourself. You don't have to shout it to the world. You just have to have one for you. And I don't have to agree with it. Nobody does. You do. I have to be okay with mine. And I very obviously am. That's why I'm truly talking to you about it. But I wasn't always. And another thing about that is, if you believe that it's not there because you believe that it's not. So in that, all you have to do is understand and accept that it is there. And it will be. How? I don't know. I know mine. But once you accept it and you start making steps towards it, it will be revealed to you. Mine is revealed to me. And whether if you're a spiritual individual or a religious group, yours are revealed to you. Because we're all different and we all have our own perceptions of it in our own experiences. Now, a lot of people grow uncomfortable with the term God. Even some religious people and spiritual people can be a little bit uncomfortable with the word God, because a lot of those people don't really reference it as God. I use the word God because it's just generally understood what I'm talking about. When I say it, it's just a general term. I'm not addressing an identity. I'm just saying it as an acceptance of human spirituality in general. So, my understanding of the spiritual graph there is religion works. Spirituality works on the exact same fundamentals. It's my understanding that you don't actually have to agree with anybody else in their spirituality. You just have to have yours. So, if you're in a religion, it is going to work because you know it works because you're getting it, and good for you. I'm not judging you. I know a lot of people put a lot of heat on organized religion, and you don't have to do that. Don't force your religion on somebody. Connect with those that can agree with you and resonate in the same spirituality, and live peacefully. Now, as an individual, you need a method to acknowledge God or the forces or the energy or Allah, whatever you call it, and be thankful for your life. And in that, your spirituality is going to grant you coincidences and different things throughout your life that help you feel spiritual. However, I do have a very strong feeling that if the people that are in religious groups were home, alone, practicing the exact same thing, it would still work for them in the exact same way, because it does, because that individual is accepting their spirituality, finding a spirituality that works for them. So, organized religion does work, and I'm not knocking it. And I believe it's more like, if you have one stick, you can crack it, and you have a bunch of them, you can't. And in that, it has developed a spiritual understanding that can take the test of time and help people connect through their spirituality. And if you are a religious person that likes to go to church or whatever it is you do, you know that when you do, it very much so heightens the experience for you than when you're at home. Like I said, I do think that if you're at home doing it, it's going to work anyway, because you're acknowledging your spirituality and you're accepting it. And then it's just the process. It's God's law. It's just life's law, nature's law, however you want to call it. But respectfully, if you're in a church or you're in a group, and that group is putting all of their energy and their belief into that spirituality, well, that very much so is going to heighten their experience. And there's people that will have a religious life throughout the week, and then they go to church, they might cry when they're at church because they're just heightened by being around other people and the experience. Now, my understanding of people that are more spiritual is that they heard a lot of religion that didn't agree with them in a similar way to the people that have none. However, those individuals found their way to a spiritual understanding of their own, where people that have none ditched it and forgot it. Spiritual individuals are more likely to have heard it and choose their own path. And again, if people in religion can accept spiritual individuals and vice versa, understanding that everybody just has their own spiritual understanding, like everybody has their own sexuality, and we don't have to expect anybody to have the same as ours, and if we do, we can connect with them, and otherwise, just live peacefully beside each other. And in that, peace can still exist. So I think in current times, there's a lot of spiritual stuff arising. A lot of people have a lot of internal awareness. Anything that goes on inside your body that has nothing to do with physical function, like blood flowing or organ function, like anything in your mind, your soul, your heart, any of these things, that is your spirituality, your internal world, your thoughts and your feelings. All of that kind of stuff that's going on inside you has nothing to do with anybody else. It's not out here. It's only in here, unless you, as the individual, let it out in some way. And we let them out in other ways that we don't even realize, like through actions and attitudes and things, right? And that is your spirituality. That is your internal world. That is what I'm talking about in reference to discovering your own healthy understanding of it. It really only takes you a couple seconds to go inside yourself every day and feel thankful that you're alive. It doesn't take a long time. And if you can accept your spirituality in that you know you have one, even if you're trying to discover it, but every day you try to go inside and think about how thankful you are to be alive, well, it could start to do things for you in your own way. And obviously, I believe if you are a religious person, you're probably already being thankful for your life every day, because it generally comes with a lot of religions and a lot of light spiritual beliefs. But I also know a lot of spiritual people that are happy for their lives. Not saying that people that are not spiritual are not happy for their lives. Of course they are. We all are happy for our lives. But I hope this conversation has opened your mind to the possibilities of peaceful spiritual understandings and religions, and everybody just having a great big hug and, accepting themselves and therefore accepting others. Heavens knows where spirituality is going to go. And if I ask you what year it is, you'll tell me it's 2022. But you know that there's proof of humans on the planet for 5,000 years. So now we do know the numbers started back over with Jesus. And a lot of people get uncomfortable hearing Jesus' name, just like people get uncomfortable with hearing the word God. If you are not a believer in Jesus, you don't have to be. If you are a believer in Jesus, you can be. It's the same as the Allah. I'm not trying to, but significantly, the numbers and Jesus correlate, and that's why it's 2022. And even if, without getting into the details, the fine details of any of it, when Jesus was alive, very realistically and practically, they were nowhere near as civilized as we are now. Most of them were not understanding that there was a positive option and a negative option, and you could choose the positive option, and when you did, you had a higher quality of life. And a lot of people at that time were still less civilized and afraid of everything. They were afraid of everything. And even now, with some of the conversations I had throughout the last couple months, like we shook fear of color and fear of sexuality and fear of all kinds of things. There's all kinds of mental sufferings that we shook. And at that time, they didn't really know. He did. And ultimately, regardless what you think of the Jesus story, I feel like that would be understood as a very practical, realistic perspective to it all, without getting into the details of it. But ultimately, accept your spirituality, accept the gifts that your spirituality brings you in accepting your spirituality, accept other people's spiritualities, and it doesn't have to be a problem. Once again, same goes with sexuality. Find yours, accept that others have one, but it might not be the same as yours, and that's okay. If it is the same as yours, maybe you connect. If it isn't, you don't have to. It doesn't mean you can't connect in other ways. You can have different sexualities and different religions and still enjoy the same music, and you can play music together. It has nothing to do with it. So, I hope that's helpful and healing to my viewers, but it is getting late here. But I've been enough figo. I gotta go. Affari sto yaton endi affaron show. Thanks for your interest. Affari sto politon theo yati zoimo. Elini happy kiethetiki anarase olus. Doxata theo kiapali. Kimisu kara popse. Sleep good tonight. Kalinita.